Hello everyone and welcome back to AB-Aquariums. I missed the weekend's video, but I thought I'd bring a midweek video just to make up for it. But today's video is going to be about clown loaches. Very popular fish in the hobby. Everyone's tried to keep them, especially beginners, because they're normally in local fish shops like Pets at Home or wherever around the world. You've got a chain pet shop near you. They'll probably try and sell them there. They're just a very popular fish, and you can see why with the colour. You know, that's the main draw, is the amazing colour. So yeah, let's get into the clown loach and see how we can care for them and help them thrive and keep them going long term, because they are a long term commitment and people don't quite realise how they progress long term. So we'll dive into that. So yeah, the clown loach, originally from Indonesia sort of area, Eastern Asia, that sort of area over that side of the globe. They're a long-lived fish, a very popular fish in the hobby, but people sort of get them at their tiny little size, you know, like an inch long or half an inch, you know, tiny little fish, and they expect they're going to stay around that sort of size or maybe grow a little bit, but they don't quite realise they're going to get about as big as your slipper. So yeah, they're going to get, you know, a foot long or so, and you know that it's going to take a very long time to get there, maybe 10 years before they're around a foot long. A couple of years they could be up to 6 inches or so, quite easily. In 2 or 3 years they'll be up around there, if you're feeding them well and keeping them right. Let's talk about them for a minute, because let's be honest, people don't realise that they are a long-term commitment. You know, they're not just a fish that's going to live a couple of years like a guppy. You know, they're going to be a long-lived fish, you know, 10-15 years, absolutely no problem at all if you're keeping them right. And you know, you're keeping them well fed, keeping the water clean, and not just visually clean, but you know, parameters good. Regular water changes to help that growth hormone get out the water, whether you believe in that or not. Honestly, it makes a world of difference doing water changes and seeing how much more fish grow. It comes hand in hand with part of our maintenance anyway. But yeah, you know, let's be honest, a lot of beginners, they get these clown loaches and they don't realise that they do need a high level of care. They're a scaleless fish, so they don't really have any sort of protection from parasites as such. You know, obviously they've got a slime coat to help them deter parasites as best they can, but then they're scaleless, so they've not got an extra layer of protection like most fish do, with obviously being scaled. So really they are quite prone to getting the white spot or the ick parasite, which is quite common on these. You might see them in your local pet shop and they'll have a big group of them in, and you'll see the odd white spot on them already just when they've come in from stress. Ick parasite can be floating around in the water system that they've come into, and just because they're stressed from being shipped across the world, they do take on that parasite quite easily, and they'll be the first one to get it out of all the other fish in that tank, 9 times out of 10 anyway. So really you want to get them, if you're going to get them, obviously you don't want to be getting them covered in white spot, but usually the fish shop will deal with that and hopefully get the worst of the parasite off of them. But it may still come back, you know, just because you can't see the little white spots there doesn't mean that they're not clamped under a fin, or you know, there could be the odd parasite in the bag when you pick them up. So you really want to keep them quarantined when you get them back, and you want at least 4 to 5 of them. I mean, a bigger group is always better, but they do like to be social, and they will come out of their shell more. Like if you just get one solitary clown loach, they're just going to be hidden away under a piece of wood or behind some rock, and they won't come out of their shell at all. You know, you really do want to make sure that you get them a small group. I mean, I've got a group of 5 at the moment, and you know, I'd like to get more, but it's just where I've moved them over to this tank, and I'm gradually building up the group again, because I did lose a few after a few years of them being with me. So yeah, you know, they are quite a long-lived fish, and I did have them for a good while. And as you can see from the other footage, you'll see that a couple of them are already quite large. You know, the largest one being around 6 inches, you know, around 3 years old or so. This one down from that, maybe a year younger than that, and then the 3 newest babies that I've got. So I've got a group of 5 at the moment, but ideally you want more, so I will be getting another 3 to add to that, and so on and so on. But they are in a 6-foot tank. And that will bring us on to the tank size, and you know, how we care for them and what sort of enclosure we're going to give them. Because if we're going to have them for 10-15 years and get them out to that foot size, you know, a fish that's going to be sort of this sort of size, you're not going to be wanting to put in a little 2-foot tank, are you? You know, you're going to want to give it a good sized tank so it can turn around and swim up and down the tank. Because as you can see from the footage that I've shown here, they are very active. You know, they like to be playing around with each other. They do like to be social. And in this 6-foot by 2-foot by 2-foot tank, you know, that's really giving them a chance to stretch their legs. So ideally, If you're starting them out in a 4-foot tank, that would be best, you know, getting them started a couple of years in, maybe they're getting 6 inches plus, you know, they're getting on some size. But ideally long term, you know, if you're going to keep them for the full lifespan of the fish and you're not going to take them back to the fish shop because they're getting too big for your enclosure, then really you're going to want to be getting a 6-foot tank at least, really. So yeah, long term 6-foot tank, no problem at all. They'll easily grow to, you know, way past over a foot long. They can quite easily get to 14 inches over a long time. It would take a long time for them to get there, but yeah, they're definitely worth the wait. As you can imagine, a big fish like that with that sort of colour would be a stunning thing to behold, wouldn't it really? So so that's the sort of tank size I recommend. But they are a fantastic fish, and they're not all that hard to keep. You just got to keep your water bang on. You've got to make sure you quarantine any new fish that you're bringing into that system. You don't want to be banging in any random fish that, you know, just straight from the fish shop, because let's be honest, they might carry a parasite, and the first fish to suffer will be the clown loach. So you don't really want to risk it. No, fantastic fish to keep. A stunning coloration on them, as you can see, but that does fade a little bit as they get older. As you can see from my largest one there, is around 6 inches in size. It's kind of fading a little bit, you know, it's not quite as dark and vibrant as the small ones. It will gradually fade, and you might even see where those black bars, they might even start to split apart into more and more black bars as they get bigger. Just where they're getting that long, it's sort of stretching the pattern a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what will happen over a long period of time. But they still do show that nice orange and black colour, even at a foot long. You know, it won't, like I say, it won't be as vibrant and dark, but it will be a nice colour. And if they are completely faded out, there's probably something wrong with your water parameters, and they're suffering for it. So definitely go down that route of checking your water parameters and giving the water a test and make sure everything's looking well. But yeah, as you can see in my setup, I've got them with barbs, and they probably would have seen them in the wild anyway, because a lot of these clown loaches are wild caught. I mean, they are breeding them in captivity now, which is a great thing to hear, because obviously we don't want to keep taking them from the wild. If we can breed in captivity for the hobby, that's that's really what we want to be doing. But yeah, a lot of them have been wild caught, and a barb species like these roseline sharks here, or denison barbs, they would have been from the same sort of area, very close by, and that's part of Asia anyway. So it's not like I'm going for a biotope in this setup, but it is. It's nice to see that they get along with a nice shoaling fish, a larger shoaling fish. You could have them with a smaller fish, you know, the clown loaches won't go eating smaller fish. Generally they'll stay bottom dwelling, but they will go into the water column, no problem at all, but they won't go after fish, if you know what I mean. So say if you've got like a neon tetra or a cardinal tetra, they might not eat them. Well, I like to say might not, and not until they're really large, and they might, if they're hungry, they might go for one. But I mean, let's be honest, they're not really going to be going for fish like that. That's not really what they go for. They prefer to have worms and things off the substrate. That's mainly what they're going to be eating. But a soft substrate similar to what I've got there, you know, nice sand, they'll love it. You know, that'll be great for them, because you see their little barbels on the front of their face there. They like to whisk around in the sand and see if there's any food in there at all. So they'll love a soft substrate. I wouldn't get anything too sharp, because like you can see those barbels, very similar to a Corydoras, they'll soon damage those barbels if you let them mess about on a sharp substrate. Bear that in mind. But not only that, is something to bear in mind is the way, if you are trying to handle them or keep them in a bag, especially in a larger size, and you need to move that fish to another tank or take it elsewhere, bear in mind they've got these pointed defense mechanism that comes out the side of their cheeks. So don't be handling them by hand and sort of trying to grab them by hand. Even with a net, they can get caught in the net because they've got these points that come straight out the side of their cheeks. So bear that in mind. You know, don't be putting your hand in and trying to grab them, because as their defense mechanism is going to put these sharp pointers straight out the side of their cheeks and maybe get you in the finger. But yeah, bear that in mind. You know, apart from that, they're completely peaceful and they're not going to be going stabbing you anytime soon. But just if you were to go and grab them with your hand, just bear that in mind. Overall, a fantastic fish. If you're a beginner, then maybe not jump straight into them, and maybe get used to getting your feet wet with some, you know, more beginner-friendly fish, and get used to that. And maybe when you've got a bigger tank, 4 foot plus, then maybe look at clown loaches. Like I say, get at least a group of them, at least a group of 5 or 6. You know, easily more the better. You know, because they will come out their shell and be more social. And another thing I didn't mention is they like to be warm. I mean, they will stay at normal tropical temperatures around 25 Celsius or 78 Fahrenheit. You know, they'll stay around there, but you know, they would prefer to be warmer. So if you can get them up to 26, 27, 28, no problem at all. They'll love that. They'll appreciate that. They like to be warmer. The clown loach, fantastic fish. Would highly recommend it. As you can see, the coloration is stunning. You know, they're almost saltwater vibrant. You know, it's that colourful. and very common fish, but you can see why they're common, because they're just so colourful, and they're like a little dog, aren't they, like a little puppy in the aquarium acting around like a pack of dogs. So yeah, I'll leave that one with you, but yeah, just the clown loach, fantastic fish, and I would highly recommend it. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.